All right, we have some exciting news for the Firebird 5 upcoming release. And we're going to be talking about that today. And we have this kind of virtual global meeting going on right now. And we have Alexey Kovyazin with us and Dmitry Yemanov. I hope I'm saying the names correctly.
Oh, it's okay.
And of course, I'm Jason Wharton from Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's see, Alexey, where are you coming from? Where are you at right now?
I'm in Almaty, Kazakhstan. A really long flight from US, and actually from every place. 24 hours from Brazil, for example.
Wow, okay. And Dmitry, where are you at these days?
Oh, still the same, Penza City, Russia.
Okay, yeah, no surprises there. Yeah, so we've had 2 years and a little change since we released Firebird 4. So we've got 2 years of work here that we're going to be discussing. I'm quite excited to hear about a lot of the improvements, especially for the performance, scalability, internal efficiency. So Firebird's continuing its legacy of leading out, it sounds like, with returning of multiple rows with data manipulation language. That's exciting. So anyway, let's turn this over to the expert, though. Who cares what I think? Let's talk to Dmitry about this. Go ahead, Dmitry.
Okay. We are here to speak about the new features in Firebird 5. And if I would be asked what features are the most important here in this Firebird release, I would name a few, in particular, parallel or multi-threaded backup, restore, sweep operations, as well as index creation. Support for partial indices, support for the compiled statements caching, the new clause skip locked for update, delete, and select with log statements, and SQL command profiler. It includes both user specified SQL commands and procedure SQL code, like procedures, triggers, and so on. So let's speak with a little bit more details about these new features. Parallel backup, restore, sweep, and index creation. We support it at the engine level and in the utilities level. Firebird.conf file contains 2 new options that allows you to specify maximum number of parallel workers that acts as a kind of a higher limit for parallelism. So how many parallel workers could work in your system. And parallel worker setting defines the default option of parallel scalability, how many parallel workers should work by default. You may override this value during connection or with utilities. Parallel operations on multi-core CPUs allow you to execute things faster. For example, regular backup procedure could take 2 times less, sometimes 10 times less, or even more. So it works really faster. For write load, like restore operations, the boost is not that big. It's actually about 2 to 6 times faster but it's also quite noticeable. Index creation also works faster. So actually, you may benefit from these improvements easily. As for what level of parallel operations you need, the common advice would be to dedicate half of your CPUs or cores for parallel workers. Okay,
So,
let's go next.
So, Dmitry, it means that the users with the high-end hardware, with very powerful servers and with big databases, can make backup and restore much faster. And like instead of 1 day for terabyte database, it can be several hours, right?
Right, absolutely.
That's really good news, because people want to see the results of investments to hardware.
Oh yes, and actually it allows to solve issues with quite longish backup restore cycle that some people are complaining about. So actually it allows you to shorten the maintenance period between backup and restore operations to just reduce your downtime.
Yes, that's really great, really great. I think it's a good feature. Jason, what do you think?
Well, the thing that comes to my mind is one of the biggest advantages of Firebird is the range of use applications. It can run on a very small, low-powered device. It's a quite efficient data store. And now to see the upper end of Firebird's range expanding more into viability for large, huge enterprise-type data stores, it's kind of mind-blowing to me, because now I'm thinking to myself, did we actually sacrifice some of the very low-end range of Firebird's use case scenario, or can Firebird still, were these new changes made in such a way that Firebird can still run on a small device?
Yeah, I think it should, and it will run without a problem.
Yes. Firebird is still suitable for small and embedded applications, absolutely. Nothing is changed here. So we just optionally provide some features for bigger databases and bigger load, but it's just an extension. It's not a replacement.
Yeah, that's amazing. That deserves a round of applause. I'm impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Let's do next.
Yeah. Go. Support for partial indices. They mean actually an index that handles only a subset of the whole table. So you define some where condition, and only records that match this condition will be indexed. It allows you to improve performance for some insert update delete operations, because the index is smaller, and actually its modification could be faster. But also it allows you to reduce the index size in some particular cases. For example, if you need to index only a subset of rows, the index will be much smaller, of course, and the storage will also be smaller. So it affects both the storage and performance. And here you can see just a syntax example of how such a partial index is created. Nothing really complex here, just where condition is added, and that's all. You may, for example, index for, if you have some kind of flag in your table that distinguishes between archive and actual documents, you can index only the actual documents to process them faster, for example. Or you may just index the current year, for example, the last year, and speed up retrievals and operations with latest documents while processing some older documents a bit slower, for example.
And Dmitry, just to clarify, this feature does not require any changes in SQLs in queries, right?
Absolutely. But sometimes, depending on how you define the condition of the partial indexes, it may not really require, but it may force you to add some special condition. For example, if you index by particular year, you cannot select by just full date anymore. You need to extract year from your date in that in your query, in the where clause of your query, and then if you need some particular date, you add a real condition that that date is equal or bigger than, because the where condition of your query just must match the where condition of the partial indexes. If it happens, you don't need to modify anything. If your condition is kind of more clever, kind of more complex, maybe you will need to add an additional artificial condition to your query. But it's not really required. It depends on.
I think what we need to, I don't know, create some kind of article or video explaining it. What do you think?
Yes, it would be great.
Okay, I think we will think about with Jason also. Since, okay, good. I think it's
another new feature is the cache of compiled statements. So actually, you when you prepare your query, its compiled version and its bytecode and its execution plan is being cached by the Firebird. So the next time you try to prepare that query, it will not be prepared again. It will just fetch from the cache. So actually, this feature saves your time for prepares, for query prepares. And of course, any cache is all about memory. So yes, this new cache, of course, consumes more memory than before, but it can be limited by the Firebird conf settings max statement cache size. So yeah, you can specify the upper limit of that cache.
I just want to add here that this graph is a result of the tests which was performed by Pavel Zotov from Firebird QA. And as you can see, they demonstrate that some application which does not care about the preparation. Oh, originally, it was running as a set of ISQL scripts, can gain up to 25% of performance with this feature, and it's kind of great news for the people who never prepared the queries, because some components do not prepare queries, do not reuse prepare components. So Jason, probably you as a author of IBObjects can comment about this feature about prepared queries, because we always recommended, we as a communities and experts recommended to do prepare every time, and now it becomes obsolete.
Not really obsolete, I'd say. It just maybe becomes a little bit less important.
Because Firebird does more work.
It will be doing that under the hood, yes. But again, we have a limit here, the size limit. So preparing them on the client side, we could still give you some benefit if you have too many statements on the server level to be cached. So actually, it still could be useful approach. So it's not really obsolete. But this feature may really help those users and those queries that really do not do prepare often. They do not follow this practice.
For example, PHP, right?
Yeah, PHP is a common example. Yeah.
I'm curious, if you don't mind, is this a statement cache that will apply across all users, or is it only for each connection?
Oh, in this particular version, Firebird 5, it's implemented at the connection level. But in Firebird 6, it's going to be a system-wide, database-wide.
Okay, because that's where I think the payoff is really going to come in, because say, for example, everybody's using the same application. And so that application is going to be generating all of these similar queries. And so then it would really spread across. And then,
really?
and then if you're using prepared queries instead of constantly generating queries that have specific data buried in the statement, then the cache would work more effectively, because the parameter will be the same for everybody. And so the cache will be more effective.
Sure. So this cache will be even more effective with the next Firebird version. True.
That's beautiful. Okay, let's get, I'm excited.
Okay, let's go to the next feature. Skip locked clause. It's available in select with lock command, as well as update and delete commands. All the commands that modify, actually, I mean modify on disk, physically modify records. This clause allows to skip records that are already locked by other active transactions. So if some user has executed, for example, an update statement or select with lock statement to lock some particular record, and you want to process some records in the table excluding the locked one, this feature is exactly for you. The most common scenario to use this feature is how to handle processing queues concurrently. And exactly when you have a table with, for example, some queued tasks, orders, or something like that, and you need to process them not one by one, but concurrently from multiple threads, multiple connections, you just use select with lock or update with skip lock clause. So actually, you will fetch from the queue only the records that you can process now, not the ones that are currently being processed by someone else. And it actually allows you to implement multi-threaded queue processing without lock conflicts at all, which is currently either impossible or requires quite complex logic to implement. So actually, now this feature opens the gates for efficient parallel queue processing.
We just finished the preparation of the article with examples for skip lock. Dmitry Yemanov, the editor of the documentation, created this article, and we will finish the preparations and publish it for all users at Firebird.SQL, because it's a really good feature and it can be useful in many areas. Queue synchronization, really good.
Okay, let's go further.
Profiler, my favorite.
SQL language profiler, also one of the big features in Firebird 5. It's actually a kind of architectural thing which consists of some engine code that tracks measurements of different operations inside the engine, and a plugin that collects that data from the engine and stores them in some other place, in some different storage. Firebird 5 has a default plugin for the profiler, which is available out of the box in every Firebird distro. And this particular default plugin stores the collected profiling data inside the database itself. It creates its own tables and views to be used with the profiler. How to use the profiler? Just call functions and procedures of the new system package called RDB profiler. It has different methods. And you usually start the profiling with a start session function. You specify the profile name, and you get your profile identifier. After that, you execute any SQL code, select queries, update queries, call in storage procedures, whatever. And when you have executed everything you wanted to measure, you just execute procedure finish session. Here, a true parameter is specified. It means that the collected data must be flushed to the profiler plugin, which will store it into the tables. And after that, you may actually look what happened in your query. Here, we can see some part of some stored procedure with different statements. And at line 15, we have a simple select statement. In the profiler output, you can see the same statement. You can find the same statement. You can check the particular line number. We have line 15. We are interested in the query that starts at line 15. And here we have it. And we can see how many times this particular statement inside the procedure was executed. What is minimum, maximum elapsed time? What was the total elapsed time of all executions of this query? And this is just a small example of how the profiler could be useful. It actually able to track things down from a particular complex select statement down to its plan nodes, so that you can check actually what access algorithm was executed and what time it consumed. For example, the table was read in 10 milliseconds, the index was read in 5 milliseconds, and the bitmap was composed in something else milliseconds, and totally then joined, then sorted, and the sorting cost is again 100 milliseconds. And you can check actually why your particular query is so slow. What is actually slowing it down? Very useful.
I think it's a really great tool for debugging of complex business logic inside storage procedures.
Yes, just let's distinguish between debugging and profiling. They are really interrelated things, but with just different goals maybe. But yes, actually, it's a tool to find bottlenecks in your code.
Dmitry, I have a question about usage of these things in production. For example, if we will run this on some heavy loaded system for like 10-15 minutes to see this procedure, how it behaves in the real environment, in terms of impact on performance, how it will be.
Of course, it's not free. In a single user environment, the overhead actually may differ depending on how complex your query is and how many rows are being processed. Because for any query, we count not only execution times in total, but execution time to open the query and some of these internal algorithms, and to fetch. Every row is fetched from the whole stack of record access elements, and everything is counted. So actually, the more complex your query is and the more rows are being processed, actually fetched, I mean, the more overhead you may expect. In our tests in single user mode, I have seen, for example, from 5% to something like 40% of performance overhead that profilers gives you. And the worst case, 40%, was a quite not really complex join, but that produces really many rows. So you may expect something like that in the middle of 5 and maybe 50%. But at least it's not time slower, not.
Well, it's a tool for developers, right? It's not a production. It does not replace the trace or necessity to create efficient SQL queries.
Yes, and even if you're running in production, you actually use it to analyze slow queries. Well, your slow query will be actually a little bit slower than before, but you will get the numbers. So actually, it's not as bad, even if using it in production.
Yes, and if this query is really complex storage procedure, it will economize a lot of time to identify which specific line is it breaks the performance.
Yes, and really, you may just when you collect just when you executed the problematic query, you just stop the profiling, and after that you just spend days or weeks analyzing the results. It doesn't interrupt anything. It doesn't reduce the performance anymore after you have stopped the profiler session. So analyzing is just a different thing. It can be performed in background or differently.
Okay, good.
Okay. Of course, new Firebird features of Firebird 5 are not limited to the ones mentioned before. Some of them are also mentioned on this slide. It's a better record compression for long strings, especially those encoded in UTF-8. The returning clause in update, delete, and merge statements now supports returning cursors. So multiple rows could be returned using the returning clause, not only one row as it worked before in pre- or Firebird versions. New package RDB blob util was introduced to help with blob operations, execute some of them more efficiently and work with blobs kind of like you would be working with files in file system, for example. Open, read, write operations differently, things like that. And also the SQL optimizer was improved quite a lot. It actually contains some new abilities to rewrite queries, to optimize some conditions better. It more often uses hash joining, which will usually provide better performance. So actually, the optimizer was changed quite a lot, and you may expect different plans in your queries. But of course, our expectations is that they should be better plans than before.
Dmitry, was that pretty extensive to implement the partial indexes in the optimizer? Was that part of why so much work was done in there?
Well, it was not really easy, but not very complex either, because the core support in the optimizer was quite easy. But then we had extended the optimizer support a bit. For example, all existing Firebird versions do not allow you to execute query using full index scan, because it doesn't make any sense. It's really faster to just read the table, the whole table, without any index. But with partial indexes, things becomes different, because if the partial index finds just 1,000 path of the table, it's really could be fast to use that index with a full index scan, because it doesn't scan the whole table. It's just a very small subset. So the optimizer was fixed to allow such things with partial indexes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the really good features.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and the last but not least important thing is the migration. One of the new features of Firebird 5 is an ability to migrate from Firebird 4 without backup restore. A new command jfix upgrade was implemented, which allows you to upgrade the minor ODS version. Firebird 4 has ODS 13.0, Firebird 5 13.1. So it was just a minor ODS upgrade, and JFix upgrade allows you to sync the ODS to move it to the latest supported number. Of course, it requires an exclusive access to the database. It's limited to administrator only, sysdba or database owner, and this command is fully transactional. So if you experience any kind of error during the migration process, all changes will be rolled back, and your database will stay intact in the ODS 13.0. If it works without errors, your database is upgraded. That's it. Also, Firebird 5 is able to work with databases created with Firebird 4, but some of its new features will not be available, like partial indices, for example, because they require a newer ODS version. But it will be available after JFix upgrade. If you don't use any such features of Firebird 5, you is able to work with your Firebird 4 databases without a backup restore or without upgrading. It's supported. And given that Firebird 5 does not add any big incompatibilities, it does not introduce new data types, it does not introduce any compatibility switches, and actually the migration from Firebird 4 is quite smooth, and especially considering the upgrade option. So if you are able to migrate to Firebird 4, it actually means that you are also ready for Firebird 5. So just don't wait any longer. If you are running some old Firebird version, you may not actually wait for Firebird 5, but start migrating to Firebird 4, because it's going to be quite, it could be quite complicated in some cases. But after that, you will be ready for Firebird 5 almost automatically.
Migrate 1, receive 2.
Yeah, kind of bonus, yeah.
Great deal. For me, Firebird 5 looks like a really good evolution of previous version, and also reminds me the time when 2.5 was released. Also has a very stable code base from 3, improve it in 4, and after that we have 5. So 2 versions with the new core, new, I think, in terms of revolution, which was made with super server. So I expected Firebird 5 will be really good and stable version, right?
Right, we expect that too, because it's really not a kind of revolution. It's just an evolutional release. Yes, some features are added, but some of them are really tested in production quite good before releasing. Maybe the optimizer is the only risky part of upgrade, because, you know, every optimizer change we do usually means that many people become happier, but still some could experience performance regressions. So it's kind of, we try to find a good balance and that, but sometimes it happens. So careful testing of SQL language queries, the plans as the performance could be maybe the only effort required to migrate. Yes, the code base is quite healthy and robust. We have released beta 1, and now we are preparing the release candidate. I don't think we will see any beta releases more. We will go straight to the release candidate stage. It's going to happen soon, this summer. And then everything will depend on testing, of field testing, actually, of our users. We hope to release Firebird 5 this year, of course. The sooner, the better. So if you still didn't take dedicate your time to try beta 1, you may now try testing it. You may or just wait for the release candidate 1 and then start testing it. We really appreciate your feedback about the results.
What features are remaining, to finish and to start release candidate?
We still have some pull requests that already exists on GitHub to be reviewed and merged. So the code is implemented, it just needs some review. And a couple of optimizer changes are still in the pipeline. They were tested by customers, and now they're being merged into Firebird 5. I don't know about any big features pending anymore, so actually it's a matter of few things to be committed and reviewed, and that's it.
That's great. Jason, any comments from your side about what we have seen?
Well, I'm excited. I think this shows a good direction for what the Firebird project has been working on, and I think I can speak safely for the Firebird Foundation that we're very pleased with everything that's been done with this release. Especially, I'm really excited to hear that the legacy of stability is of high regard, and I think that's something that I think everyone will appreciate, even though we are getting a lot of new features as well. So that's always a beautiful combination. So sounds like Dmitry, very well done. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Yes, Dmitry, Vlad, Adriano, Alex, all involved.
The whole team was doing well.
Guys, Pavel, Denise, Pavel, all. Actually, I think it's a really good job, and but please release it faster, because now we have a really good time frame. I think because this is summer, we need to release candidate, and after that, when people will arrive from vacations, we will start to test, and results will be sooner than later.
Sure, we will be doing our best to release it faster.
Could you mention real quick, do we have full platform coverage with all these releases, beta, release candidate, or are there some platforms that are lagging?
Currently, we have support for Windows, Linux, macOS, and Android. So actually, maybe we could add macOS for the M1 CPU support. It could be useful for some of our users, because we've seen requests about that. But the major platforms are already there. So actually, the beta 1 packages are available for all these platforms. So I don't see any lagging platform support. M1 could be a great addition, but it's not really a kind of showstopper.
Fantastic.
Okay, great. I think we should finish with this discussion, because there are, of course, a lot of other questions about plans for Firebird 6 and questions for every feature. But I hope we will organize with Firebird Foundation some series of articles and videos to explain all of this. And so we have really good plans, right, Jensen? Yes. So thank you, Dmitry. Thanks a lot for the presentation.
Thank you, guys, too. It was a good meeting.
Yeah, sure. It was very good. Okay, Jason, what do you think about this virtual meeting? I think it was really good and full of information. And Firebird looks really, really good with some exciting progress.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited about the things that Dmitry talked about. He's even kind of whet my appetite for Firebird 6, but with Firebird 5, I'm really excited for this release, because it sounds like it's going to be that new rock solid, stable platform that's going to address also the really large enterprise
really big.
level. This is like opening a whole new foundation to build on for addressing a wider range of use case scenarios. And so I'm really excited about that, because Firebird can now compete on all levels, at least in the relational SQL database arena.
That's right. And speaking about the foundation, on July 24, there will be the annual general meeting of Firebird Foundation, where we should make a lot of important decisions, how to improve financing with the face of inflation, how to attract more sponsors and improve marketing. I think we should take a chance and announce in this video what we are going to do, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about things that are upcoming, that opportunities that we can grasp onto to continue the financial support of the Firebird project, because they're doing amazing work, and that's essentially the function of the foundation, is to be that fundraising arm. And
I think we can do more.
and the thing of it is as a part of that fundraising effort, we could really be doing a lot more of reaching out and evangelizing Firebird, getting it better known, and doing more to engage with our committed foundation members to draw them in and get people, for example, giving more suggestions. What capabilities would they really like to see the developers tackling for the next major versions? And I think there's been a lot of opportunities that we've missed because we haven't really developed some of these other areas.
Well, yes, but we still have really good niche and really good plans for the future. And that's why it's important to support Firebird from the organization point of view and from finance point of view, right?
Yeah.
So let's, make it quick and announce what we are going to do.
Well, with the upcoming annual general meeting, we're going to be having elections, and we're going to be forming who the new president and vice president and secretary and treasurer are. And I've chosen for myself, at least, to fill in the place for the secretary and the treasurer. And I'll probably have some help. I'll probably hire out some of the more technical parts of the treasurer. But thankfully, Alexey, you're willing to step up and accept being nominated as the president. And Pavel has indicated that he accepts being nominated to the vice president. And so between the three of us, I believe, with our long-standing involvement as either founding or very heavily involved members of the committee over all these years, I see that we'll continue to just move the Firebird Foundation forward, tackle all the challenges that we face, and bring in some of these areas where we've had some missed opportunities. And you and I have talked, and maybe you'll want to tell a little bit more about how you see things unfolding as the prospective future president. But there's so many things that we can do because we have such a fantastic technical product. It's hands down the best database in the world as far as I'm concerned. And so what do you think as president that you can do to help move things forward?
I see as the two very important goals to improve. One goal is the financing, because with this inflation, we essentially need more money for grants, for development. We need to attract more developers and keep current developers working on Firebird. And the second, of course, is marketing, because now there are a lot of opportunities to do marketing in more in the modern way. Of course, it includes also a website, social networks, and other activities as video and also evangelism. So all these things about financing and marketing and attracting more sponsors and attracting more users is the primary goals, our primary goals. And I think that if we will work as a team with all our experience, Pavel, you and me, we can really make a change for the better.
Great.
So I think that's all. We will provide a program. What is planned, what we're going to do to the members of Firebird Foundation, because it is a closed organization. So we will receive much more details. But for all users in Firebird world, I just want to make sure that everybody, will support Firebird with all possible efforts we have.
And I think it's important to point out too that those of us that have served in these offices of responsibility with the Firebird Foundation, these are all 100% volunteer positions. And all the time that I've spent over all these years, Helen, yourself, you've been on the committee, all the officers, none of us draw any type of salary from our time and effort spent. This is truly, it's born out of, I won't say it's completely selfless, because obviously we've developed our professions, our careers, and our personal livelihood. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of customers and clients that we know are truly devoted to expanding and utilizing this great technology. And in fact, that's basically how Firebird Foundation was born, is because, maybe if you don't mind, should I go into the history a little bit of what ultimately brought the Firebird Foundation into existence?
Yeah, sure. You as a founder, one of the founders.
Because I was there, I was involved, and we had a conference session where I taught some of the history of what all happened in Firebird's history, and there were people that were kind of like right there with it from the beginning, and they're like, oh, I never even knew about that part of it. I always wondered, how did that work out? And that story was never told publicly, and I won't go into all the details of it, but basically Enprise Corporation, who brought to the world Delphi and other products, they were the owner of Interbase, and Interbase was bundled along with Delphi for some time. And there was concern at some point that Borland was going to basically to stop developing and marketing Interbase altogether. And that, of course, was hugely alarming to a lot of my customers. I write middleware components where you add my library to your Delphi development environment called IBObjects. And so I had all these customers who were shocked to hear that they might need to have a different database brought into their applications. And so we put together the Interbase Developers Initiative, and we actually raised a significant amount of venture capital to go ahead and just offer to purchase Interbase from Enprise Corporation. And so we got a bunch of people together, and if I'm not mistaken, we had 5 million that was immediately available, and we had about another 50 million that was lined up behind that
it was 99, right?
Yeah, this was 1999, 2000, around there. It was when the .com bubble was forming, and
yes, yes.
And so what's funny though is I wasn't really crazy about the idea, but the plan was to buy it and then open source it and then put service companies surrounding it as an open source product.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I was the one that went to the CEO at the time, Dale Fuller, and to pitch the buyout offer. And during this time, I went to the meeting and I just told him what our plans were. I just totally just said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Because he asked me, well, what are you going to do with it? And as I'm telling him what our plans were, I saw in his eyes like, oh, he was getting ideas. And sure enough, he says, well, we're not going to be selling it. And lo and behold, what do? They turn around and open source it. And that was wildly successful for them. Their stock went from I think it was 17 a share to 60 something a share. So, I mean, because of all the hype around open sourcing at the time. So yes. it was very, very beneficial and positive to Enprise to open source it. And then the beautiful thing for us was we didn't need $50 million anymore. As all we had to do was fork it. And so that's basically what enabled us to have what we wanted, only it was really better than what we could have imagined. Is we were able to get the sources and start working with them in the true spirit of open source. And so now we have an amazing database compared to what it was back when we forked it.
That's a long way.
Yeah, and so really, in a way, it really hasn't been about money so much. It's just been about, at least for me personally, I've just wanted to see this technology be respected and honored for the technical marvel that Firebird is.
And it still deserves it.
It does, yeah.
Yes. So that's a great story, actually, and I think that in the future we will also have something really good, and definitely Firebird will be developed and will be supported. So we will take care about it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for the really good news. Bye-bye.
See y'all.